Now, Krishna. Thank you. Now, let's start the Mangalacharan and we shall resume our Goloka chart discussion. Ajnanatimirandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yudapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatha Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhavitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sudai Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vade ki Jai Gurudev Maharaj ki Jai Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. My pranam to all the assembled devotees. So we are here on our Goloka chart presentation. And we have been discussing different parts of it. Now we are nearly to the end, which is the material world. In material world, what we have already covered is the 14 planetary system. Satyaloka. So Bhurlok, Earth, then we always say yes, Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. That's Gayatri Mantra. So those are the three planets nearby, very close to each other. Then we have three more, Mahar, Jana, Tapa. And these three are the sages, the enlightened being, or very close to enlightened being. They're very pious people. So until Swarga is, Bhur is mainly ghostly spirits. And ghostly doesn't mean that they are always bad. And Swarga is what we consider as a holiday destination full of opulence and everybody enjoys there. And above them are the self-realized people, Maharjan and Tapo. They are very pious. They are out of this material sense gratification, what usually Swarga is renowned for. And then on the top, we have the Satyaloka, Brahmaji's Lord. He's always in meditation. He got bewildered as well. And after that, he wrote Brahm Samhita because he's the father of all. He's the very first one, very first living being in this Brahmanda. And very first one who saw the Lord. He actually had the darshan of the Lord. He heard Lord first time, then he saw Lord. And then he got all the knowledge about what he's going to create. That's why, in his own words, Brahmaji considered himself as secondary creator. So in Bhagavatam, he's considered as secondary creator. So Naradji, his son, asks him that you created everything. Are you not the creator of the whole Brahmand? He said that might appear to you, but I get my powers from someone else. And then he explains, Naraji asks, so who is that? Then Brahmaji says, he's the one whom I always meditate upon. He's the one who is worth meditating upon. And then Naraji says, I want to know about him. And then he said, yes, that's the Lord. So he mentioned first Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, then he mentions Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So Naraji says, oh, right, okay, so Garbhodaya Vishnu is the absolute truth. He said, well, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu comes from Mahavishnu. And Naraji says, oh, right, okay, so Mahavishnu is the topmost. They say, but Mahavishnu comes from Krishna. Say, oh, okay, so Krishna is the absolute truth. He said, Krishna, along with the devotees, is what we can consider as the complete existence, what we can say as absolute truth. So Krishna himself says that me without my devotees feel very incomplete, even though Krishna is not. So a very nice question was asked that if, because in chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, it says that the soul doesn't have the beginning and doesn't have the end. But the same thing we say is for the Krishna also. Then we say, if the soul, if I'm the soul, and if I don't have the beginning, then how do we say that Krishna is the source of everything? Because I always existed. So how come Krishna was my source? Because we say there was a source, and from the source something comes out. For something who has always existed, it's hard to say what is the source. And this question was asked. So on YouTube, there is a Chatur Shloki Bhagavatam. So at the end of Canto 2 in Bhagavatam, there are 4 verses of chapter 9, and last four verses of Canto 2, chapter 9 is considered as Chatur Shloki Bhagavatam. So when Brahmaji was meditating on top here, then Brahmaji didn't know whom he's meditating upon. And then he heard the word tapa, tapa. Then he did meditation, and then he saw Krishna. And when he saw Krishna, then Krishna gave him the knowledge. Like what Krishna says in 15.15, Sarvasya chaham hriday sannivishto, mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha. That I give the knowledge, I give the remembrance, I give the forgiveness and or forgetfulness. And sarvasya chaham hriday sannivishto. Hriday is heart. That I'm seated in the heart of everyone. So this is what we also consider as Paramatma. This is what we also consider as Chaitya Guru. Chaitya, Chaitana is for consciousness, and Guru is someone who leads. So when our consciousness leads, how many times we say that, oh, my consciousness doesn't allow me to do this, right? So that in the form of consciousness, that's Lord within our heart, which guides us. Now we are considered as marginal. So internal potency. So Krishna has 3 potencies: internal, external, and marginal. Internal is in the spiritual world, always a spiritual. External is what we see here in material world. 3 modes of material nature, that's considered as the external. And then we have marginal. We jiva are considered as marginal because we have the flexibility and we have the choice to make. We can move towards in spiritual, and we can move towards material if we want. So Chaitya Guru is saying us, Chaitya Guru is giving us the information, but we can decide which way we want to go for. Hare Krishna. Yes, please, Mataji.
Yes, I just need some clarification, Prabhuji. I thought that, yes, internal energy of Krishna is Radharani ji, but does it have anything else apart from Radharani ji as well, like Yogmaya?
Yes, that's right, Mataji. Very nice question. Internal energy of the Lord is further split into three, and Radharani ji is one of them, and that's called Haldaini potency. So internal potency is all spiritual, but one of them is Radharani ji, and that's Haldaini. And then there is another one, Samvit and Sanchit. But Haldaini is one of them, and that's Radharani ji. Very nice question, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
And similarly, in external is what we see material, and then we have goodness, passion, ignorance. So that could be split into three also. But because we are marginal, we have the choice. So the more and more spiritual we get, the more willpower we have. First of all, of course, we need to develop that capability that we can hear. We can hear. So we sometimes we say, well, that person, how did he do it? How that person killed so many people? How that person cheated so many people? How that person did so much corruption? How didn't that person have consciousness? Well, if you think about, of course, that person has consciousness. Krishna is there within the heart of everyone. But that person who got the consciousness, but that consciousness is not purified. And that's why our Upanishads, they talk about. So when we say absolute truth, so there is a truth, but there is absolute truth and there is a relative truth, right? Relative truth changes, but absolute never changes. And our Upanishads uses these words, of course, Brahman realization, but we need to have consciousness, but along with consciousness we use the word pure consciousness. And then when we say ignorance, passion, goodness, then there is something on top of goodness which is called pure goodness, and in Sanskrit we call shuddha. Shuddha is pure. So goodness is also there, but when we consciously know we are doing good, we sometimes feel proud of our goodness. But when goodness becomes our nature, then that's us, because that's what we are. Because the spiritual soul is Satya Ananda. When we realize that, then we don't have to think and do goodness. We just do goodness. Why? Because that's the nature of the soul. And when we act like that, then we are not in goodness, then we are in Shuddha, pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva. And even in Buddhism, Shuddha Bodhi has been mentioned. So again, very similar concept, but different words being used. So that's when we go up higher, higher, higher. So Brahmaji is topmost. But anyway, these four top planets, they have those consciousness. They have much more ability. Now, these people we were talking about who don't have the pure consciousness, Krishna is there guiding them, but they are not ready to listen. Why? Because they are engaged in something else. It's like when kids are playing video games and you are calling them, they might be there in the same room, but because their senses are engaged in video game, or sometimes we watch movies and we get so much engrossed in it that even if the milk is boiling, the kid is crying, somebody is ringing, we just ignore. So not that these things are not there, not that Krishna is not there, but we are just motivated towards something else. And that's the reason we just ignore consciousness. Our consciousness doesn't get purified. We doesn't listen. First of all, we don't listen to Chaitya Guru. The second stage comes, which is a bit better in a sense that we listen. We have heard our Chaitya Guru, our consciousness, Paramatma within, who is telling us, well, this is what you are doing is wrong. But still, now the fight happens because we are marginal. The Maya attracts towards, and in other religions we call Satan. So, or in Hindi we call Shaitan. So Satan will attract towards, Maya Devi will try to attract us, and at the same time Krishna is calling. Now, whether we will able to leave one and go to the other side, that's the whole spirituality. The day we will able to say yes to Krishna and no to Maya, that will be the success of spiritual day. And it's like every day's fight, and all the parents would know with the children, the battle is ever going. Every day we have to remind the same thing to the kids, and they will listen, and they know what they are doing. Some of them, a lot of things, they know it's wrong, but still they lose things. You will say, okay, put the towel there, don't put the socks there, right? Finish your food on time. While having food, don't have conversation. After food, put things there. It's all about consciousness. The day they will realize that's it, nobody else needs to say anything, they will just do themselves. And that's much easier when we are here on top. But lower and lower we go, it's hard. And that's the reason we call it lower planetary system. Not that there is less opulence there. If we think about Tapo, Jana, Maharlok, if you will see, for example, in Vrindavan, the herds of Raghunatha Goswami ji, Rupa Goswami ji, Jiva Goswami ji, Sanatan Goswami ji, these people, they came from very rich families. So there is a mention that he had golden jewelry, what we used to call Swarn Mudrain, made up of gold, pure gold. And why? And he was coming, he gave them away. So the opulence, or what we consider as material opulence, might be much less in these planets because they don't need it. They will live simply. But when we go to Atal, Vital, Sutal, and we will see, it says Maya Dana. Now, in Atal, we got Maya Danavs. This Maya Danav is the one who created the beautiful Indraprasth for Pandavas. When Pandavas, Khandav verse was given, so Duryodhan gave Khandav because it was like a barren place. There wasn't anything, no vegetation there. And Pandavas gave it to them. Oh, sorry, Duryodhan gave it to Pandavas. And Pandavas, being humble, they said, okay, no worries. And then Krishna advised to Yudhishthir that they should call Maya Danav. Maya Danav came from his Maya. He created such a beautiful place, and the whole Indraprasth was given. And that's the reason when Duryodhan came around, then he could not, because it was full of Maya, full of illusion. There was a place, it felt like water, and he thought that it is water, but there was no water. And the other place where there was no water, so he got confused, and then the offense happened by Draupadi, and that's the reason Draupadi had to suffer later on at the time of Vastraharan. But Maya Danav living in Atal, when he could do this for Pandavas, imagine what he could do for his own residents. Right? It's full of opulences. And then we got, well, it says Lord Shiva resides here. Not that Lord Shiva, but those mainly who worships Lord Shiva, they resides there, and they are full of opulences as well. Lord Shiva is actually very famous, that anyone who prays to Lord Shiva will give everything. But Lord Shiva himself doesn't have anything. So there is a past time where Parvati ji said to Lord Shiva that your devotees have more than you, but you don't have any. And there were many demigods as well. So Parvati ji said, I also want a home. I can't stay here on top of the mountain all the time with you. And then Lord Shiva said, okay, if you want, sir. And then Ravan's father was called to do the prayer. And the Lanka was put together. Lord Shiva had that for himself. So Vishwakarma, who is the architect of demigods, he put together Lanka. And then Ravan's father was there to do the ceremony. And then Ravan's mother was a demon, Ravan's father was a Brahmin. So Ravan's mother pushed Ravan's father to get this. So at the end, once the ceremony done, Lord Shiva said, ask for something. And so because at the end, to the Brahmin, we need to give something, especially who has done some sacrifices for us, like the yagna. And Ravan's mother, the wife of Ravan's father, said that, well, my wife wants this palace. Lord Shiva said, okay, yours. And Parvati ji said, well, the whole thing and everything I did to get the palace, and you have just given palace like this to the Brahmin. And of course, she could not ask that back because her husband has given it away. So she cursed it. She said, whoever will live here will lose. And initially, the father gave that to his elder brother, elder son, who is the elder brother of Ravana, who is Kuber. So Kuber had that place. And Damodar Ashtakam recently, Damodar, we finished yesterday, Damodar Arti, where Lord Damodar, Krishna in the young age, goes through between two trees, and those trees were the sons of the cursed sons of Kuvera. And that's the reason they were cursed. Of course, there were many other reasons as well. But then when Raman came, Raman took that place from Kuvera. And Kuvera said, okay, no worries. You take it. Kuvera is anyways the treasurer of demigods. He's full of opulence. So when Ravan said it, he said, okay, take it, no problem. So Kuber moved away, Ravan lived there. And because Ravan lived there, that place was the cursed place from herself, of Parvati ji. So that's why Ravan could never be happy there. He had many. He had, of course, because he was a Brahmin, he had the positive side as well, because his father was positive, but because her mother was demon, so he had that demonic culture. And then there are some more examples like this, where the father was a Brahmin and the mother was a demon. Vrittasura is another example in Bhagavatam. But then again, Bali Maharaj, Sutal place at the time of Vamana, it says Lord Vaman resides there. So at the time of Vaman Dev Avatar, when he humbled Bali Maharaj, because Bali Maharaj said, he also had a tinge of pride, because he said to Vaman Dev, like a small dwarf when he came. So Bali Maharaj said that, what are you asking? You are asking only 3 steps of your land. You don't understand, who am I? Somebody who asked me once, that person should not need to ask anything for rest of his life. Ask that much, because he was proud as well, because he was the emperor of the whole planet then. So of course, then Lord Vaman grew up in size, and he took the whole material world, and then the Swarg in the second reached up to the Satyaloka, and then he said there is no place left. And then Bali Maharaj said, you put your third step on my head, on my face. So that was a total surrender. And then Lord Vamana said that I give you, I'm very happy with you, I give you Sutal place. So he gave the Indralok, Swarglok back to demigods, back to Indra, but he said, I will give you Sutalok. So Sutalok, opulence in Sutalok is actually better than Swarglok. So all these places in lowerly planetary system, they are in opulence, they are much better than the higherly planetary system. But the main difference is in consciousness. These people, they are always engaged in sense gratification. They don't think that Krishna is there. They don't think the Lord is there. Right? It says, so this morning I was listening in Ramayana, when the Ravan came, it says, Ravan wanted to enjoy Mother Sita without Lord Rama. So if you think about it, it's like, if we want to enjoy the money we have, if we want to enjoy the house we have, if we want to enjoy the car, or all the opulence we have, if we want to enjoy just alone ourselves without Krishna, then that's a curse. But if we will enjoy if we live in the nice house, but we put Krishna in the house, then we become the servants of Krishna. We say, okay, Krishna, we live here to serve you. And then, of course, we have a nice function at home, like we did in Damodar Ashtakam. And any gathering we do, so most of the gatherings are spiritual gathering, then everything is done with keeping Krishna is the center. That's where we can utilize. So there is a verse where when in the full Sabha, the palace of Ravana, Vibhishan actually said a verse. And in that verse, he said to Ravan that this place is very much cursed and what you are doing with Lord's wife, Mother Sita, is very wrong. And then what Vibhishan did, Vibhishan gave an analogy, and he compared Mother Sita with a snake. Yes, which we feel like is very wrong. But what he said the voice, the beauty, the eyebrows of Mother Sita, these all are the poisons of a snake for you. Why? Because you are trying to enjoy her without Lord Rama. If you will give her back to Lord Rama, then who is the enjoyer of the Mother Sita? So Mother Sita represents the material life. So again, Lord Shiva and Parvati ji. So Ravan also did it. Ravan went to Lord Shiva and wanted to have Mother Parvati. Mother Parvati is the material. So what we say, Durga Ma, the material mode of the owner of the material mode of nature. The whole Prakriti is her. Right? But we understand Purusha and Prakriti. So Purusha is supposed to enjoy the Prakriti, not us. When we try to enjoy her, she's what we say, the consort of the Lord all the time, whichever form they come along. So Krishna, Rukmaniji or Krishna, Radhaji, then Rama, Sita. We always think that. So if we try to enjoy anything in material world just for ourselves, that it will be like that snake, because we just want to enjoy. For especially for Diwali, we say Diwali, we get Lakshmi and Ganesha. Ganesha to start something new, because most of the time we consider the next day from Diwali as a Sal Mubarak, the Happy New Year. The next New Year starts. So Ganesh ji, the auspiciousness for the new year, and Lakshmi ji to bring the prosperity. But where is the Krishna? Because if we call Lakshmi ji the wife of Krishna, wife of Vishnu, then she will not stay. If we just call wife, then she will not stay. But if we will call husband, then wife will always come along. We don't even have to ask for the wife. You invite the husband with family, and the wife and the children, they all come together. But most of the time, this is what we do. Brahmins do a lot. I've seen in a lot of prayers and pujas we do, especially when we buy the new house, when the pandits, the pujaris, they call all the demigods. So the way it goes, we call all the demigods, be present there, request them to be there for the auspiciousness. And at the end, we say goodbye to everyone. Okay, thank you so much for your presence. You can leave to your abode now. You have given your blessings. But Lakshmi ji, we always say, you stay here. The prosperity, you always stay here. But she can't stay without her husband. So if we will let Krishna stay, then Parvati ji will happily stay. And so this is what we can understand. We can go further. Naga, Daitya. Now we know Daityas, the demons, they have number of times they have defeated demigods. And every time demigods will get defeated, they will go to Brahma ji, Shiv ji, Vishnu. And then most of the time, Vishnu ji will give the solution. And then demigods will get the palace back. So demigods, the Daityas, they are much stronger than demigods. Their weapons are much stronger as well. And Nagas, they are very, very famous for the manis they have. They all have jewels on their head. And because of those jewels, their light is glowing. Effulgence is there in their place. The abode of Nagas. This is Vasuki Devi, which is very famous in Samudra Mantra. So they're all there. And then, of course, we have Narkaloka, 28 hells. In Canto 5, there is a big mention of many different Nark. One is Rorak Nark, Rorak. And it mentions if we do the gambling, if somebody indulge himself in prostitution, or somebody lie to someone, somebody has given a false witness in the court for someone, then what happened to that person and which particular hell the person goes to. Hare Krishna. Yes, please, Mataji.
Prabhuji, yes, can you tell a little bit more about the Daityas? Because I thought they were all bad, Daityas.
Datyas, they not all the Datyas are bad, but yes, they do have the tendency. As we say, we are marginal. So Datyas are also jivas. If you think about, Datyas are also jiva entities. So we say there are 4,000 species of living beings. And Datyas are not only one, there are few types of Datyas. So like Chandals are also there. Chandals are not as that Daityas, but they are the gradation between humans and Daityas. But if you think about Daityas, Brahmaji explains this, that very first time when Brahmaji, so Lord gave Brahmaji the instruction to create the creation. And Brahmaji started doing it. Brahmaji created, when Brahmaji sat down in meditation, he did meditation. Then he created Chatur Kumar, and then he said, "Okay, you go and start progeny. You start more, have get married, and then have children. Start the creation." And those Chatur Kumara, they said, "We don't want to." So if you see, they are in Tapoloka. They are in Tapoloka doing tapo, they're doing the austerities. They said, "We have nothing to do for the creation. We are going. We know this is all confusion and Maya. We will just go and we will pray to Lord." And then Brahmaji got a bit angry. Then he created more. Then he created Prajapatis. And then Prajapatis also. Naraji was actually there. Naraji was encouraging all of them to do meditation. Naraji also got cursed from Daksh Prajapati. But when Brahmaji, very first time with few of the children, they did not start, then Brahmaji got very angry. And it says, when he got angry, he realized that he's angry. Then he said, "I need to leave this body, because this body is not pure consciousness anymore." So he said, "I will leave this body." He left that body. That body he left, from that body, Daityas originated. And because that body was full of anger, full of enviness, the bad, it was so bad that Brahmaji wanted to leave this body. Of course, Brahmaji got new body after that. He did that twice. Once Daitya and once Rakshas. Once Daitya and once Rakshas. So the main difference from these two, that Daityas, they went out to kill Brahmaji. As soon as, so Brahmaji said that you are my children, even though I didn't want you, but because you came from my body, you are my children. Like Vara, they came from the nostril of Lord Brahma. And so Lord Varadev is also sometimes considered as a child, not not the body, but the mind child. We are use a brain child verse number of times. But that comes from Brahmaji. So they wanted to, they ran after Brahmaji, and Brahmaji initially laughed. What are they doing? And then he stopped them, he cursed them, he let them go. And then second time he also got angry. He again got angry on them. Then the second body he left, then the Rakshas came from the second body. And the main difference, Daityas went after Brahmaji to kill him and to make him like a servant, and many other things are there. The description is there in Bhagavatam. And that what Rakshas did, Rakshas, they went after Brahmaji to eat Brahmaji. So sometimes we say that not all the snakes are poisonous, right? Not all the snakes are poisonous. And when we go to the jungle, not all the fruits and not all the leaves of the fruits are herbs. Some are dangerous, some are like they are carnivorous plants also, and they are poisonous plants also. So we need to be careful. Similarly, not all the Daityas, Danav, Rakshas, they eat you. So those who eat, they are the ones who are called Rakshas. And then we have Daityas. They are most of the time jealous and envious. So if we see the example of Mohini avatar at the end of Samudra Manthan, when the nectar comes out, when both Indradev and Rakshas they saw nectar, then Lord Vishnu appeared as Mohini, like a beautiful female form. And then demigods, they figured out that, okay, we don't need to lose the focus because we need the nectar. But all the Daityas, they left the nectar. They forgot the nectar when they saw Mohini movement. So this is what we say, that the enviness is there, the jealousness is there, the greed is there, the sense gratification is there. So a lot of times, well, I say a lot, but I've heard it sometimes when the children, especially I know some of my Punjabi friends in Delhi. So when the mothers, they used to get angry, they said, "Are you a Rakshas or are you a Danav?"
Yeah.
To the children, just getting angry a bit, which means if they are not, if whatever they are saying, if they are not using the right language, they might be using a foul language, or maybe they are not taking the shower in the morning. They just come and they say, we want to eat breakfast. And so, who are you? Are you a human being or are you a danav? Just got up and I want to eat. Just try to satisfy your sense gratifications. Go have a bath, have a shower, then do some puja, then come back. So, all right. So this is the mentality, the Daitya mentality. So Haribo, thank you so much
Thank
for
you. Thank you.
all right, okay. So we have of course seen these different. Okay, we have presentation on this. So this presentation will finish soon. Then we will do this presentation where Jambu Dweep and 9 regions I mentioned described in detail, and then this is also a lot in detail. This this is very nice description, and this description is there in Bhagavatam. It's hard to understand, and because the description when we read again and again, it's like try to put 3D 4D 5D in words. It's very hard. So when there is a circle, or when there is a cube, or there is a sphere, when you try to explain those things in words, it's hard to explain. And then somebody who will read it, it's hard to understand as well. And this description is something similar, but we will see the descriptions, what it says. And we have seen this, that this is all the, so we have astrology and we have cosmology. So these are the different planets given. Dhruvlok is actually considered as the Vaikuntha lok. So when everything goes down in the Brahman, Dhruvlok doesn't go, because Shirodakshaya Vishnu lives there. So that form of Vishnu lives there. So this always stays. Saptarishis are also nearby. They are not in Dhruvloka, they are nearby. They are here. This is called like a chandelier. So on the top, and there is another verse in Bhagavatam which mentions, I think that picture is not there, that if we have a upside down dolphin, the word in Sanskrit words are like this, that upside down dolphin is there. And if you put, so there is a presentation, I'm not sure if I have that at the moment, but that dolphin is in the shape of this Brahmanda, which explains all the way it used to be. It's like very cryptid language given in Shastras. It's like in the form of dolphin, you will see the world upside down, and the eyes of the dolphin will be this planet, the nose will be this planet. And if we put the shape of dolphin and try to put all of them together, then we see the locations are given. And this is the way it used to be. Like I remember my Mamaji's. So my Mamaji, I think he does have a date, but his birthday comes on some auspicious day. So, for example, the first Ekadashi of Shukl Paksh is his birthday, right? And then, of course, this changes in the normal Western calendar. This changes. Like Diwali comes as per the auspicious day, and it changes all the time. It's not. It doesn't stay 4th of December, 4th of November like this year. So that was based on these what we call nakshatra. So these are also defined. And this is a separate study, a very detailed study. But again, the mention is Krishna says in Bhagavatam, or Brahmaji says to Naraji in Bhagavatam, that those who are engaged in devotional services, they don't need to bother for the stars. So when Prabhupada was there, Prabhupada had some kind of dates and the days in mind, that okay, if I want to do this, I will do on this day, I won't do on this day. But where he didn't have the flexibility, he didn't bother. So there was a time he needed to sign a document for the temple, and somebody reminded him, Prabhupada, you never do it on Thursday. He said, yes, that's right. If I have a choice, I will not do it on Thursday. But just because it's Thursday, I cannot leave it. So if we have the time, then let's follow everything. But if we don't have the time, if we don't have the flexibility, then the devotional service always take the priority. Always take the priorities. So it says when mothers and sisters in the house, when they are in their periods, when they are not considered as clean, they should not go to the altar. But if no one else is there, if they are the only ones in the house, then we will not leave Krishna without food, right? Then in that case, they are allowed to go to the temple. So we follow all the rules, but at the top, devotional service always take priority. So this is the way it's been explained. And then this is from the side, this is what we call side view. And in the middle, we can see this is small bit there. This is Meru Parvat. Now we see it from the top. From the top view, if we see, we will see this is Meru Parvat. And then many other oceans are being mentioned. Okay, the sun chariot, we will see this in other presentation, and we will understand the reference of chariot. All right, okay. Jambu Dweep. This is a very detailed, actually, even more details been given in the Shastras. This is a creation. The creation of the world is given, well, Brahmand is given in Bhagavatam, where we are, and like we can see all the rivers there, right? The Kim Purusha, so sometimes we don't understand, we don't remember, but Kim Purusha is very near to us. And there are mentions of Bhima. Bhima went to Kim Purusha. When Bhima met, so one reference is there that Hanumanji lives in Kim Purusha. Another reference is in Bhagavatam, when Bhima, he met Hanumanji. He actually crossed the Bharatvarsh. This is called Bharatvarsh. So he crossed the Bharatvarsh and he went to Kim Purusha. And that's where he met Hanumanji. He was following, Draupadi asked him to bring some flowers. And he was following the lead for the flowers, where I will get it, this direction. And that's where he found Hanumanji. And then all the rivers are there, as you can see. So, but this is a lot more detailed, but this is where we see Meru Parvat. The Meru Parvat is also very, very famous. And this, on the top, we see structure of Vedic universe, right? As I said, a lot and lot more in detail. Right at the bottom, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So Garbhodakshaya Vishnu there, Ananta Shesha on top of him, Vishnu is there. Now, remember, we have always discussed Mahavishnu is only one. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, in every Brahman, there is one Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and then we have Shirodakshaya Vishnu. All the living and non-living being in the universe has Shirodakshaya Vishnu. Then 28 hellish planets are there in brown. Vishnuji and Lakshmiji there. It's the very first time when the Brahmand comes from Mahavishnu, only Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is there. Well, it's full of ocean called Garbhodakshaya ocean. It was initially, the ocean was like more than half. So it was full with water. Then Garbhodakshaya Vishnu comes there. He's sitting there for a while. It says for many years. And then he opens his eyes and he thought, okay, let's do the creation. Then the water goes down. So he created the space for the creation. And then we see, okay, the 7 lower world, subterranean, heavens, Bill, okay. All the 7, there's another word called Bila Swarga. So it's like we have another, there's one Swarg on the top and there's another Swarg at the bottom, lowerly planets. Why is Swarg? Because they're also very opulent. And we have seen the name, Atal, Vital, Sutal, Talatal, Mahatal, Rasatal, Patal. Now, Patal is another one we have heard number of times, I guess. If no one knows others, people do knows Patal. Patal is very famous. Even in the Ramayana and in the Mahabharata, we heard it. This is the Bhuloka. And this is where we saw 5 elements. So the 4 elephants are there. So this is the disk where Bhuloka, and this is planet Earth. And then we have Meru Parvat in between. Jambudvip is there. We are part of Jambudvip. We are in Jambudvip, but we are only small part of Jambudvip. And we will see. This is hard to see where we are in it. But Antariksh, space, and okay, Brahmaji is right on top of the Meru Parvat. Saptarishi, okay, dolphin is there if we see. The name of the dolphin is there if we see. Dolphin is there. And Shishumara. There is another name actually. I can't think of the name, but Shishumara is also a name given, but there is another name given for Dhruvlok is there. So when we see this thing, see on the top, this is Dhruvlok, right, on top of it. Then, so this is Dhruvlok, Saptarishi, and if we see all the planets are there. So we have Swarglok is mentioned, Sun, Moon, it says etc. It's wrongly spelled. It should be ETC, it says ECT. And okay, Bhuarlok says, so we say Bhu, Bhuar, Swaha. So Swarglok is on the left. Bhurlok is the ghostly planets. These cloud we see, and it mentions that Gandharvs are there, Siddhas are there, Vidyadharas are there. And there are many examples in Mahabharata when these people come down on Bhuloka at the time of Krishna, and whether they were cursed. So Vasus were cursed. Bhishma Dev. We recently did the Bhishma Panchak. So Bhishma Dev was one of the Vasus who was cursed, who used to be here. He was cursed to come down on Bhuloka. And then, of course, we discussed Jana, Tapa, Maharloka. And on the top, Satyaloka, where Brahmaji is sitting. And all this, Shivji is providing another, not only Shivji, but Mother Parvati ji is with him. So they both are together, giving all the ingredients to Brahmaji for the creation. And Brahmaji comes out from the navel of, if you see there is a navel here, from the navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And on that, on the top, Brahmaji is there. And it says 7 shells of universe. We have discussed this as well. 5, the Panch Tattva, we consider the Panch Bhuta. And then we have the 3 subtle, we discussed the layer. Let me quickly show one of those. Okay, maybe this is right. If you see there, so these are 5. So earth, water, fire, air, ether, false ego, and Mahatattva. False ego and Mahatattva. So 5 plus 2. Sorry, I think I said 3. 3 is for our 3 subtle bodies made up of 3. Body, intelligence, and self-ego. The self-ego and Mahatattva, they are the 2 extra. Otherwise, we have the Pancha Bhuta, we call it. So these are there. And if we go back, okay. So this is what we can understand. So a lot of detail we have already seen. Pataloka. There is another one which I could not see there, which is called Pitraloka, where all the forefathers go. So sometimes the forefathers, we because of their actions, they don't go to the heaven, they don't become ghosts, but they go to a separate place called Pitraloka. And in Pitraloka, a lot of time, they get a lot of powers, but they also suffer there. And when we offer the water and everything here on planet Earth, they get the respite there. And that's the reason. If you see, when somebody is diseased in the family, then one of the sons supposed to give water to a tree or a proper place. There is one place described where all the mantras will be done, and every time the water will be given every day, in the morning, in the evening, the ghee lamp will be offered. This is because the forefathers are traveling, and during the traveling, because of their past deeds, they suffer a lot. So it says Pitraloka. That's actually Pitraloka. So Pitraloka is not Narkloka. Narkloka is different, but Pitraloka is there. The king of Pitra is Yamraj, son of Surya. So Lord Surya is the father of Yamraj. And Dharmraj, the Yamraj is also considered as Dharmraj. Yudhishthir was son of Yamraj. Resides here with his personal assistants, Yamdutas. The souls of three presiding generations of one's ancestors reside in Pitraloka. So three generations they go and they live there. Shraddha, Shraddha is performed for them by sons or daughters. So usually by sons, but Shraddhs could also be given by daughters. There is a mention, especially for the mother side. So if the mother's father is gone, then the daughter's son can do the Shraddh for mother's father. Hare Krishna. Yes, please, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. You know, when a person dies, they say he's taken before the Yamraj.
Yes.
And there's sort of to decide on what he has done, good or bad. So do we go to this where the Yamraj resides, which is the Pitralok? Is it where we are taken to?
Yes, that's right, Mataji. Yes. Now, whether the soul will stay there or not based on the karma, but yeah, definitely will go there. Of course, there is a mention that if, for example, the story of Ajamil, that when Ajamil took the name of Narayan at the end, then Yamdut came, but also Vishnu Dut came.
Yes.
And then Vishnu Dut said, you cannot take, we will have to take. So it says the devotees who take the name of the Lord, Vishnu Dut will come. And in that case, soul will not go to Pitralok, will not go to the Yamraj, will not go with Yamdut. They will go straight to the spiritual world. But if the vicious cycle of birth and death will continue, then unfortunately, yes, we will have to go to the Pitralok. So there are many examples where soul traveled to the Pitralok, and there are some examples where souls went. For example, Dhruv Maharaj, he went straight. He didn't stay to Pitraloka. He was a devotee. He went straight to Vaikuntha. These are the mention of hell. So it's hard to describe, but each picture, for example, this picture, it says that the Yamdut will boil the person in the hot oil based on what kind of sin somebody has done on the planet Earth. And there are many different, here the eyes will be taken out. If somebody has eaten meat, their body will be burned straight in the fire. And there is another mention somewhere that when you burn the body will be burnt. But the person is already dead. Then what they will do, they will leave the body will get the flesh back, and then the person will be burnt again. So the pain will continue for long. So here if you think about material world, if we have lost our arm, that's it, it's gone. We cannot get it back. So we cannot keep going under the pain because the arm is gone. Nobody can hurt that arm anymore because the arm is not there. But there, what happens if the arm is cut? You feel the pain, but that arm will regrow. And then again, they will cut you. And then again, you have to go through that pain, and it will continue. Again, based on the karmas. And it's there if anyone wants to read. It's horrific, the description, but it's Canto 5, chapter 28. Oh, 26 also there. Yeah, 26 to 28 types of hells, but 26 there. Okay, so very briefly, we are at the end of it, but these are some of the. So I was saying Rorav, and there is another one Maharorav, and the mention is there if you want to read it. Let's discuss it if you want to. As I said, it's sometimes it's very upsetting because we don't want to. But a person who steals another's money, wife, or possession is put into the hell known as Tamisira. Now, Chanakya Pandit also said this, that we should not steal somebody's money, wife, or possession. Somebody is in somebody's possession, we should not. And in Bhagavatam, so he didn't give the reference because it says in Bhagavatam. But in Chanakya Sutras, there is a mention we should not. Maharorav, the animalistic, like somebody who lives like animal, who lives simply in the bodily conception, which means just taking care of the body. So a lot of people, they say, well, I love eating meat. And so I remember some of my friends, they have said to me that, why do you spend so much time in spiritual? This body, this time is to enjoy your life. So have a great time. One day we're going to die. So this is what Lord said, animalistic. So if we live like animals, if we just execute our bodily life and we don't do anything else, he's put into the hell known as Maharora. So this says who goes there, but what happens there with them is also mentioned. So Andha. So this is Tamisha, this is Andh. And tricks someone and enjoys his wife is put into extremely hellish condition. So there is a mention of Indra, who tricked Gautam Muni's wife. So Indra had to go through this also. So Indra did it with Gautam Muni's wife. And that wife was the Ahilya, who was cursed. She became the stone, and then Lord Rama came, and Ahilya came back. So Ahilya was the wife of Gautam Muni, and the curse happened because of Indra. Because Indra tricked her, Indra became Gautam Muni and went to her. And then she thought it's my husband. So Rorav, this is actually very famous. Rorav, a lot of, not only there, in the end of Canto 5, it says Canto 6. Oh, sorry. Yeah, 5 is there. 6 is also there, but 5 is there. In Canto 5 at the end it mentions. So a lot of places, Rorav is mentioned a number of times. A foolish person absorbed in the bodily conception of life, who on the basis of these principles maintains himself or his wife and his children by committing violence against other living beings, is put into. So as we can see, a lot of time we give the excuses. For example, Tulsidas. He was not Tulsidas, he was a dacoit, and he used to kill people. And there are many, like Angulimar, he used to kill people. And then excuse these people they used to give, that I'm doing it for my family. Right? So it says, on the basis of principle, to maintain himself or his wife or his children. Like even when we do bad things for the family, it's bad. Right? So I've just noticed it's the time now. If we want, we can go through. There are only a few slides left, not now, but next time. But hopefully next few sessions, 1 or 2 sessions, we will complete this presentation of Goloka chart. Then I do have another presentation where I mentioned a lot of other things are in detail, if you would like to go into the detail. And that's the beauty, as I say, these name of the hells, what happens, who goes there, this is there in our Shastras. You speak to anyone in other religions, other major religions, they don't have any clue, because I have discussed it. And I've checked the Shastras as well. But if in next case you meet someone, then it's worth having discussion, not to challenge, but to understand, do you have that? Sometimes they do. Like I was discussing with Shivani, that one of her friends said, we believe in Bible. And Bible says that in 7 days, the world is created. But modern science says that it took billion of years. And Vedic Shastra says that it took billion of years. So Vedic Shastras aligns with modern science, but not with 7 days of creation. But it's interesting to know different opinions. So thank you so much. So nice to have the association and everyone. I hope everyone found these sessions very informative, and the whole idea is to enhance our consciousness that we should not do these things because none of us would like to go ourselves or our siblings, our parents, our children to hellish planets. So let's pray to the Lord that He will help in our consciousness. With that, thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.